Welcome to the Hansen Brothers podcast. I'm Timmy and joined by my brother Kevin. We are teammates and world champions in rallycross. This podcast is our space to catch up while traveling the motorsport world. Welcome to another episode of the Hansen Brothers podcast. This weekend it's just a standard race event, thing this weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, this week. Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of the Hansen Brothers podcast. This weekend. What the? Okay.
You just carry on. You tried your best. Catie Munnings is here with us. Tim has tried 3 times now to make an intro, so let's stop there. Welcome, Catie.
And it's not the weekend. Hope you're having a nice week, Catie. It's nice to have you on the podcast.
I think that was my favourite part of the morning so far.
Okay, we'll edit it in.
Yeah, great.
Nice. So, Catie and I, as you probably all know, we've been teammates in Extreme E, in E1. Currently not teammates, though, but we're still almost family after all those years. It's a bit awkward, yeah.
Myself the third Hansen sibling. I'm in the middle. Age-wise, I am in the middle as well, aren't I?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
So, you're the missing piece of the puzzle.
I am. I always get caught in the middle of arguments and...
I think you have seen the worst of us both over the years.
I think I've seen the best of you both. I would disagree with that.
I think the best, yeah. Especially, we've been on a few trips also, you and Mika, when we've been to like Senegal and Green and all sort of places. It's been great. It's
been really fun. And I always love working with you guys. I think your family are such nice people. Like, beyond motorsport, I think I don't want to give you too much credit because...
No, please don't.
No, keep going. Thank you.
I genuinely think you're really lovely people and I enjoy spending time with you and your mum and your dad. You're all amazing.
Wow, so such a lovely start to this episode.
Yeah, it's all warm and family vibes. And
are you going to replay all of my crashes and all of the times I've let you down now, Timmy?
Yeah,
big time. It's going to be so everyone, thanks for this week. There's going to be 20 minutes of Catie crashing now. Cheers.
Just you criticizing me.
Yeah.
Well, we actually always joke when we're watching V-Box together in Extreme E. There's like one line that's red and then one line that's green. And it's always, which way round is it, Timmy? Because I always get it wrong and I can't remember.
No, red is always faster.
Yeah, red is always faster. And so I'll always ask this because I can't remember. I'm like, am I green or am I red? And Timmy's like, you're green. You're always green.
Well, interestingly, you're wearing red today and Timmy's wearing green. So it says a lot about what things are moving.
Well,
Change of times.
I do think that I remember the first time when I had a hairpin that was red. I just sort of zoomed in on that. We were testing, and I just made that really big on the screen, and then only focused on that for the debrief session.
Yeah, but we also had like this whole. I think Extreme E has posted it a lot on their socials how much the girls have caught up. But actually, in Jeddah this year, you had a couple sessions where you were the red one, which hasn't really happened before. Yeah. So definitely, then. I was getting nervous. No, it's always...
He actually had to start improving himself.
Yeah.
Time to get to work to it. No more lazy side.
For me, it's been nice because every session for like 4 years when I come in and watch my V-Box video back against yours, then I've always got something to improve on. But for you, it must just be like, well, there we are. There's nothing that I can improve on. I can't see any improvement. And then,
until he watches the split times and sees my time, then he's like, shit.
Yeah, we don't like
when
Kevin goes out on track. We always know when Kevin goes out on track, we're like, oh, here comes some purple sectors. Kevin's all quick, like annoyingly quick.
I just really miss driving the Extreme E car because we had such a dialed setup in the end. So I'm like, can we just have a few more races?
We could see it, couldn't we, Timmy? We'd always say, we were like, that car is impossible to roll. Like, it just it won't roll. It's amazing. Like, to watch the way that you would throw it sideways, it was so cool to watch. It was like proper trophy truck style in the end. Do you remember, compared to season 1, what the cars look like to now?
Yeah, unbelievable.
It was a huge change.
Such a difference. Well, I think maybe, Catie, you can give a little explanation, some for our listeners not knowing where. You can give a summary, of what led you to be into Extreme E. What has your career been like into motorsport and then getting towards Extreme E and now E1?
So I started in normal rally. So I was actually spectating at a European Rally Championship event in Belgium and got speaking to the promoter, and they were saying about getting more women in motorsport, and I was competing in grass auto testing at the time, which is like slalom and car tricks and stuff. And then I had the opportunity to go to a rookie test with Peugeot at the side of Rally Mont Blanc. Back in, it must be like 2016, 2015 maybe. And I tried the car. It was the junior, I guess like the car that they run in junior WRC. So if anyone watches it used to be called an R2. And I remember like doing a few runs up and down the road with Charles Martin, who was the French rally champion at the time, and he was driving, and then I would have a go. And I was like, wow, that's so fast, that's insane. And after a few runs, he said, should we put it into stage mode now? Because we've just been in the liaison mode. And I remember just like, I absolutely, and this is probably why I still love it, because I have the same feeling when I compete against you, Timmy. Like when I sit in the seat with you, and I had the same thing then. I was like, I don't know how he can drive like that, and I would love to know if I can drive like that. Because I think it always feels so impressive when you sit in the passenger side of a rally car like that. And so then that like the curiosity to see if I could drive like that is really what kept me going, I guess. And so I started the European Championship with some support from Peugeot. Then I met some of my biggest fans at a rallycross race when they came to compete at Source.
I remember that.
This story is worth telling, right?
I wanted this story, and before you got it in, because I know you're going to spin it.
I wanted to say this, and now you jump. But actually, in 2018, Catie was visiting the UK round of the World Rallycross Championship and had a fan photo taken with me, Kevin, and Seb during the race. Never forget. What a good time.
Yeah, that was. What has happened since then?
I remember thinking like, wow, there's such cool guys. Like I think it was the first real big rallycross race that I'd seen live, and the cars are so impressive to like listen, and especially the cars that you were driving, they were just so cool. And I remember sitting in the hospitality watching, and then you guys walked past. I was like, oh, shall I get a picture? Like Timmy Hansen, it's Kevin Hansen, Sebastian Loeb. And then luckily I was with Peugeot UK and they wanted me to have a picture, so I didn't have to ask myself. I remember getting this like fan picture with you guys, and I was like, wow, there we go. Can die happy now.
But then only the year after, or was it 2 years after, we became teammates. So like things do change very quickly. You would never have another fan picture with us.
No, never.
No.
I
never
wanted to tell that story that you saw me and wanted a fan picture with me, and that's how that photo came up.
I saw you going that way. I'm like, no. So after you did rallying, then you went into Extreme E. But how did that happen? How did you go from junior rallying into actually becoming a professional driver?
Yeah, it was, I guess with those sorts of things, you never think like, oh, this is the way to do it. And like, you don't tick off the steps. You just say yes to every opportunity. And I think that's what I did. And I still do, really, just always saying yes to whatever opportunity I had to drive anything or to go to any kind of networking event. So I think it's so important in motorsport when it's so hard to get into and there's not really a clean route in. But I think actually nowadays there probably is more, because when you see the stuff like the FIA, Rally Star, and those opportunities to get young drivers in with an actual path at the end of it, I think they're amazing. But I think when I started and when you guys probably started, there wasn't so much stuff like that. So it wasn't really like, oh, if I do this, I'm going to be a professional. It was just really like right place, right time, and right attitude to it, I guess. I was starting the Junior World Championship that year. And then it was the year when COVID hit, and then like everything was shut down. I lost all my sponsorship for it. Like had no idea even if the championships would run. But I'd entered into this like driver pool for Extreme E, which was actually one of the girls that used to work at Red Bull. She moved across and she was working for Extreme E. So that's how I heard about it. Because I was already a Red Bull athlete at the time. So I just said, yeah, like I'll join the driver pool. I don't even know what that means. And then I got a call from Roger Griffiths, who's the team principal for Andretti in Formula E. And this was just like a Friday night in lockdown. So I'm at home having another barbecue in the garden. Nothing happening, like never imagining the world going back to normal. And he just mentioned that they were thinking of starting a team and would I like to be involved? And that was it really. I was so excited to try and be involved. I had no idea. I don't think any of us did know what the championship would look like though, because at that time there wasn't really a calendar. They were saying, oh, there's going to be a massive ship that transports the cars around the world. And like, we're going to go and like save turtles in Saudi and then plant trees in Africa. And it was the most ridiculous idea. So I genuinely didn't really believe it would happen, but I was like, well, I'm going to say yes to it. If it does happen, it'll be cool. And then I remember I didn't actually know that my teammate was you, Timmy, until after I'd signed my contract. I don't know if that was the same for you. Did you know?
Yeah, it was the same for me. No, he was very secretive, Roger, before everything was done.
Yeah.
He's like, knowing him now, he's a very solid person, isn't he? So he didn't want to spoil anything or leak, say too much before it was done or anything. But no, I didn't know it was you either. But then we met at the test in France. And I remember when we met the first time, we'd been texting and stuff, we should meet up and drive to this test. And it was you and your dad. You arrived together, and it's like, you don't know how this is going to be. Like, we're going to be teammates, but we don't know each other. But then, yeah, immediately in the car ride, like, we had great conversation, the three of us, and just kind of got on really well from the very first day. And it was like, cool, this can be a good time. And then we stayed teammates season 1, season 2, 3, and 4. Like, it was a great ride. Hopefully it's not over. We don't know what's happening with Extreme Age, but
yeah,
strong memories.
Yeah, I remember that as well. I remember you picking up the rental car and me being like, oh, I'm going to go and get in the car with Timmy Hansen. The last time I met him, I was having a fan photo with him at Silverstone. So, I think some of like my favourite memories in motorsport have been stuff that we did around Extreme E. Like, there was times when me and Timmy would take like a Polaris buggy into the desert in Dubai for a week's training before our first event in Saudi. And it would literally be like, drive into the sand dunes, drive all day, drive in the ruts. He would try and make me feel really uncomfortable in the ruts to try and, learn through the things you try to tend to avoid, I guess. It's like anything in life. If you find something difficult, you avoid it. And Timmy is such a good person at spotting that. And he'd be like, no, Catie doesn't like driving in this type of route or this specific things. He'd be like, do it again, in a really supportive way. And I remember at the end of the day, I used to thank him because he pushed me more out of my comfort zone than I would, I guess. And we had some really good times training out there.
Yeah, that 1 week that you speak about now in Saudi, we had some sponsorship from Polaris, so we got to borrow 2 cars, and we stayed in a hotel in the middle of the dunes. So we had the 2 Polarises parked in the hotel parking lot. It was like an all-inclusive kind of hotel. So we would eat breakfast, go out to the 2 cars, and literally be in the dunes in no time at all. And then we'll be driving around all morning, coming back for some lunch, and then out again in the dunes. And we'll be doing long stages, short tracks, everything. And we did this for a week straight. And it's probably one of like my favorite times in motorsport altogether, because we were just like enjoying driving. There was no results, there was no pressure, there was just driving in these dunes and learning something new. That like was the perfect preparation to start Extreme E, like, because we did that and then we went home and then we went to Jeddah for the first race of Extreme E in 2021, wasn't it?
Yeah, and as you say, I think it was just so new for all of us, and Kevin as well, because like you guys doing rallycross, me doing normal rally, and then suddenly we're in the middle of the desert for the first Extreme E race. And I remember the very first race that had that. Do you remember the sand dune that was so steep? And when we were doing the track watch,
yeah,
saying just make sure you drive straight over it, don't go down with an angle because you'll just roll off the top.
What was it called? It was called Alejandro's
Hell.
Alejandro's
Hell, yeah.
That was it.
Mad. What would you say, Catie, is the most tricky thing about him? Because we know he's a good driver and he's a very good coach, but what is his negative side? What is his Achilles heel?
Bring it on. I'll take it.
Yeah, we have plenty of time, so you can carry on a long time because there's a lot to say, I guess.
This is it's kind of a backwards compliment again, but I think he's like Timmy does not have a bad bone in his body. Like he does. Like he is such a nice person. Sometimes I'll be like ranting about something or whatever, and Timmy just he doesn't have a bad bone. Like there's like you're getting zero gossip from Timmy.
Yeah, for sure. You don't like any gossiping. And that's where you two contrast. You love a bit of gossip, Catie.
But this is my point. I'll come back in from a session and I'll be talking about this and talking about this. And Timmy's like level head. He always just sees like he just sees things differently in like a bigger picture. And I think it's not really a negative thing, but I guess that's the only thing where we slightly differ sometimes, because I'll be like, this and this and this, and Timmy's like, no, it just got this Scandinavian chill of like, everything's all right, everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah, but sometimes that also, like, I don't want to like get into an argument with anyone, or like, so it just leaves me saying like,
for me that is your Achilles heel, because you never want to argue with anyone, like, ever, and then sometimes you stay quiet instead of saying your side of things, which I think sometimes is you could sometimes learn from Catie to be like, this is how it is.
Actually,
come on.
Do say that, but I think there is a clip in Rallycross where Timmy got out the car. I've seen it.
He builds so much anger inside. He needs to let out. I don't know, maybe he needs therapy.
I have one of those snaps every like 5 years or so. Like last year, was it last year? 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
2 years ago with OC, when I walked out on track and smashed his bonnet. It was the most viral video of the year in Rallycross that season. So I guess I did something, I guess it had a silver lining, but I had to pay the fine. Also, like in 2018, I nearly punched Matthias Ekström in the face in Höljes. Like, and that's like the gap. Like, I lose it every 5 years. Maybe I build up anger inside, and then
we're clear for a few years now. Yeah. Got another 3 years before you're gonna probably punch someone.
Yeah, in 2-3 years, be careful.
Maybe we should get Matthias on to just explain his side of that story. I think that would be quite a fun time.
That would be awesome. Imagine. That would be so much fun.
Obviously, Catie, you started racing back in 15-16 there, you said. The Extreme E and E1 series have done so much for females in motorsport. How would you say things have changed from back then to currently, thanks to these two series? And also like F1
how
Academy
many times
and so
have
on.
you answered this question?
It's an important question.
This is the always question for the girls in Extreme E. But I guess it's so relevant. So like, yeah, please.
I've never answered this question as brothers, though. That's the main thing. And also, I do think that when you have, and like, this is probably a biased thing that shouldn't be the case, but when you have an interviewer that is in your sport, that's achieved a lot in your sport, your answers are generally better. Do you know what I mean? Like that level of respect. So I've never answered it in this capacity before, Kevin. No, but I really think, like, us having been there, I think we've all seen, and EY did I can't remember the exact title of it, but that gender equality study where they saw the rate of progress from the first year until the fourth season. And I genuinely think, like, to be in a sport that's different to single-seater, because obviously we don't have the G-forces and things like that they have, that they contend with as like the physical factor as to why there might be a difference between the men and the female. I genuinely think in off-road we have one of the only sports in the world where physically it's not that different to drive. And I think like the only difference then would be mentally, or how like the only difference in male and female would be a lot more subtle. So I think having had the opportunity to literally just prove it all on track with none of the, other stuff that goes with it, the media and like the token female stunts that are often pulled in motorsport, I think that has spoken for itself, which is what I absolutely love. Because even when I was in the European Championship, you just see like, oh yeah, you're a female, and maybe you get more attention from that, but it doesn't mean that you've got the support to be there. I was always running on my teammates' secondhand tires. I never had the full funding to go testing. So to compare it with the other juniors that were there, it was always like a very uneven playing field. Whether you're a guy or a girl, that's just the nature of motorsport, I think. Like, there's some kids that have all the money in the world to test and to be there, and then some that don't. But I think that the media attention that I got when I started was a lot higher than a guy when they would have started, just because I was a girl. So I was really grateful when Extreme E came around that I would have access to like actually go testing and to work with people like Timmy and engineers, and to not have to worry about finding the money to buy tires for the test, and to actually just drive the car, not worry about the insurance claim if I crashed. All of those small things that do make a difference to how you perform out on track, because they're kind of in the back of your head.
I think you're spot on, like in the way that, like, if you rewind to when Extreme E started and when teams had to suddenly go and find the very best female drivers in the world, there weren't that many on the top level. Like not many girls had achieved championship wins or whatever. Of course, there was a lot of guys to pick and choose from, but for the girls, like you were an up and coming rookie in the world of rally and still one of the top performing women in off-road motorsport. And then you got the chance to drive for a professional team and actually getting that seat time and testing time that all the guys have been getting for years. Like I've been doing that since 2014, testing so many times a year, racing full seasons and everything. And then once the girls got that opportunity to get the same backing as the guys had been having for a long time, then as you say now, like it's not an overnight thing, but now in season 4, the gap was super close. And as we just said in the beginning of this podcast, like you were faster than me a couple of times during the year. Like now we were starting to be very, very level, and it was really hard to beat you. And that's thanks to like years of practice and years of testing and years of having the opportunity as the guys had been having already for a long time.
Yeah, for sure. And also it's like, it's so easy to talk in seasons, but when we were racing Extreme E, it was like, what, 5 weeks a year? Like that's like 5 race weekends a year. So like our season 1 is actually 5 races, which in another championship is like, that's like a quarter of the season, isn't it? If you think of another championship with 20 races.
It's even less because we have to share the car. So we only do half of it each. Yeah. So it like Extreme E didn't really give a lot of seat time, but like teams then had to make sure to get the drivers other experience in other championships. And yeah, I think now like we start to see girls much more established in the world of motorsport. And I think maybe Extreme E was like the push in the right direction.
100%.
That equality needed.
And I think it kind of filtered across into other championships because Extreme E gave the platform for females to show their speed. And then if you look at like even World Rallycross in the end, there was a lot of girls often, I know not full time, but I think pretty much nearly every girl that was racing in Extreme E did some events in RX2E last year. And obviously you've got Clara in with the CE dealer team. And I think that gave an opportunity to show, okay, this is like the pace in Extreme E, obviously racing against some of the World Rallycross guys there. And if you could be competitive there, I think other championships then took it a bit more seriously. And then we saw more females move across. So, and I really hope that it's showing young girls that want to get into motorsport that they have an opportunity there and that it is possible to be as quick and racing with the guys, because before that it had really just been like the one-off female that had come through and been successful, and there wasn't really enough women behind it to show that it was becoming mainstream.
Also from a commercial side, if you skip one gender in a sport, you lose out of half the opportunity of viewership and consumers of the sport. So it's like from all of that side, it brings in a lot more sponsorship opportunities. Hence why Formula One has really done a great job attracting a lot more girls to consume that. But they will never have what I think we have in off-road, where we can really have a fully gender equal sport with both participants on pace. Whereas in F1, there will, I really hope there will be a girl in there one day, but it is, I doubt that it will be a 50-50 split, because it's just not what the sport can produce. And I think here we have a great opportunity to really have that, shared equality, and that brings a lot more opportunity for partners and sponsorship, which is exactly what all our sports need to grow bigger as well.
When I first started in motorsport, and people were like, oh, it must be so much easier for you to get sponsorship because you're a girl. But the time was so different then, because you look now, like brands like Charlotte Tilbury being like a mainstream sponsor of the F1 Academy, having their own team. And I remember people being like, oh, can't you just get like all the feminine brands to sponsor you? It must be really cool. And I tried it, and literally none of them were interested, because they said females don't follow motorsport. So why would we want to advertise in that area? So although I was, and like people around me were thinking, oh, that would be a great opportunity for people, for a brand like that to have like a female rally team or work with someone like that. If obviously they're in it for the business, and if people weren't following it, then it wasn't viable. And I think it just shows how much time has changed now for, I think like F1's pretty female followed, if that's the way you say it, but it's got a pretty strong female following. I don't know if that's because it drives to survive, but now it's changed the other way, and there's actually like it's being absolutely flooded with female brands, especially in the F1 Academy side. So I'm just waiting for that to filter into off-road, because as you say, like I think it's even cooler. I love the championships like that where they give females seats, but I think when then you can put them in against men, and like on the start line in Extreme E, it's like randomly male or female lining up, and you can't really tell by the attitude of the car, or you have to look at the timing sheets, because often like females will beat guys in the races there. I think that's even cooler and like one step further that I hope that in the future that those brands support.
I'm sure it will come into off-road a lot stronger as well, but it must have been, like from your side, it must have been so cool. I mean, when we sit maybe in 30, 40 years, when we're old and in a care home, we can look back and we can all think like you were one of those that pioneered that change. And it must be a cool feeling in the future to be able to look back on that.
Yeah, I hope so. We'll also be saying, oh, I wish I was doing it now. It would have been so much easier.
Yeah,
we might just do as Carlos Sainz and keep racing until we're 60.
Yeah, that's the good thing with all, isn't it? As long as our body holds up, we're fine.
I think something that haven't happened in all my years of racing happened last weekend in Doha when we raced in E1. That Cristina Lasaraga, she was the outright fastest pilot there in the race. Like she was the fastest in qualifying. She did a fantastic pass on track to win the final. She had the fastest lap time of the weekend. Like she was just dominating that weekend. And yeah, it's just it is great to see. And I could say in qualifying I was the fastest guy, which is also positive. I was second. I wasn't fastest, I was fastest guy. But no, she was doing fantastic. And I know it's a very different discipline, but something, you know, in the focus and everything is very similar.
What would you think you would choose, Catie? Would you choose E1 or Extreme E or Extreme H if you have to make a choice?
Oh, savage! I can't possibly divulge
what savage world.
No, but I think they're both very different, and I'm really glad. When E1 came about, I said to Timmy, "There's absolutely no way I'm doing that because I've never raced on water, and also I'm like you guys. If I'm doing something, I want to be competitive at it." And I thought there's absolutely no way I'd go against powerboaters and be competitive. But classic Timmy Hansen, being the optimist he is, he said yes to the driver training and went across and did his training in the lake in Italy. And I know that you weren't. It wasn't even an option for you, Kevin, because you're terrified of boats, aren't you? But for me,
exactly, I'm never getting close to that.
Exactly. But Timmy came back from it and he basically says, no, listen, Catie, once you've got a feeling for the grip of the water, it is like driving a car on water. Like everything's the same. You've got a steering wheel, you've got a throttle. Once you feel the grip for the water, you're racing and it's very easy. And so I thought, oh, okay, I'll go and have a go. And I went and did the training and I never thought it would go to what it is now. And obviously with the break in Extreme E, I'm really grateful to be racing something. And it's actually turned out to be a lot more complicated than I think I first expected from the first test. Like from the outside, it looks like once you get the boat up on the floor and you're sort of flying, as we call it, it looks pretty easy. Like you just hold it there and you wait for the corner. But actually inside the boat, we're adjusting the angle of the engine and the lift of the engine, like every few tenths of a second by clicking paddles on the boat. And it's if you're like 1 or 2 clicks out, you fall off the foil. And if you see a wave coming, you have to adjust. So then it's actually quite complicated to drive. And I'm in a different team to Timmy this year, so we're not teammates in E1. But my new teammate, he's competing in F1 powerboating, and he's obviously used to like really high speeds and massive accidents in that. And you know, he came across, and we were really interested to see how he's feeling it. And he said, actually, it's like a lot more stimulating than he expected it to be. Like there's a lot more going on in the boat. You really have to think about it, and it's by no means easy to race. So I think it's nice, as Timmy said earlier. Like I think as an athlete, it's always really good to have a challenge and something outside of your comfort zone to keep pushing you and keep your brain cells working. Because I think the minute that you think I'm the fastest person in the world, or I'm really good in off-road rally, I don't need to improve, then like I don't think anyone in sport that's actually racing ever thinks that, because there's always stuff to learn. And I think with a new challenge like this, we probably learn stuff about ourselves, even if it's just in the mental side, that we can take into off-road rally when we start doing Extreme H. So I think E1's been more of a challenge than I expected, but I'm really enjoying it. And also, me and Timmy in Jeddah, was it Jeddah when we had to race each other in the final?
Yeah,
it was.
It was the weirdest.
The most important race we have ever done.
I just remember we were getting in the, and we have these kind of the wet paddock, as they call it, is like a floating pontoon. And I was getting in my boat, and I just put my helmet on, and I kind of looked across to the side, and Timmy's like 3 boats further down. And I just like I could see him like in the zone. He was like going out for the final. Like he's in the zone, really serious, really focused. He's got his whole team around him, people that used to be my team as well. And I just remember shouting, Timmy! And he looked over and I just like mouthed at him, you're going down. Like all the stress, it was so funny. And then he just turned around, he was like, no, you're going down.
Yeah. That was so much fun.
Sibling fight.
Yeah. You
him.
like pointed at me like, you going down. Like,
Yeah.
Like,
I wish someone got that on camera.
Yeah.
But my new team he only saw the end of this when I was just giving you a thumbs up at the end as I was getting in the boat. And I think that's all he thought I'd done. Like, and he was like, Catie, you can be friendly now, but you're not being friendly on the water. You've got to get your elbows out. I was like, don't worry.
You're like, I wasn't friendly.
I'm playing the mind games. It's fine.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And you did get the start eventually. Like, I had like a good run onto the line, but I fell on the foils halfway down the straight or even before.
Yeah.
And then I saw the three of you pass. I was like, no, I can't lose this race. Like, what do I do? But I got a bit lucky with strategy. I got clean water. So eventually I came out in front. But
yeah, because we also have the long lap like in rallycross where you can try and undercut someone. So you're very good at that.
Yeah.
But I remember after the
race... We had
the
short and long.
Yeah, short and long the sheet. But I remember after the race, you said, like, oh, I didn't want to race you. Like, I always want you to do well because every time I've watched you on track, I want you to do well for the last 4 years. And it was exactly the same for me. Like, it's such a funny feeling and like knowing how someone races and the way their mind thinks. I imagine what it would be like for you guys to race each other. I'm probably as close as I could feel to, like, Timmy's probably as close as and you, Kevin, as well, if you were racing in water, although that's never going to happen. But it's like the closest it would ever feel for me racing my sibling. And then I was thinking, actually, you two race like that every single weekend in World Rallycross and, like, very aggressively as well, elbows out with each other. And you know each other closer than anyone in the world, so you must know exactly how the other one will drive into the first corner. Like, do you guys ever speak about that, or do you keep it completely separate?
Yeah, we know we especially in rallycross we speak about like strategy in turn one and so. But then after turn one or after the first couple of corners, normally it's just like it's up to the spotters to decide what the strategy is, and we just try and go as fast as possible. So we can always make a plan, and then it's not up to us anymore. So somehow it's always like it's almost impossible to, I feel like, to fall out because we make a plan, and then if we don't stick to the plan, there's something random has happened and we're incapable of doing that. And then after a couple of corners, we're both like almost every time exactly the same speed on track. So it's up to a little bit the race to just plan out, and that's not really in either of our power, you know. So I think we do it pretty well.
We had a little bit of a falling out last year in Portugal in the semi. So I had pole and you had second, and the plan was that I kind of give you space on the outside in the first corner in Portugal, and then I come out first and you come out second. Because I had pole, I should come out first. But I ended up, like, there was some pressure from behind. I ended up cutting a bit into the grass, so obviously there's less grip. And you had like a very fast run on the outside, and then you passed me, which is like, of course, like, plans don't always go the way we want. But then it's like, shit, like I gave so much space to Kevin, so now I'm not leading. And then you won that semi, and I was second.
You were not happy after.
No, I wasn't happy. Like, man, like, yeah. But then
like, now you have to give it back in the final. And I was like, well, you start on the second row. It's not gonna be super easy, will it?
No, but like, I think we agreed, like, no, okay, you can't, and strategies don't always go perfect. But then actually what happened in the final was like the perfect proof of this. So I had a mega start from the second row, came on the outside, Kevin from pole, and I braked crazy late, like a bit too late. And then, like, although we agreed, like, okay, there's nothing you can do, then, like, you knew what had happened before, Kevin, and you backed the pack up a little bit, and me overdoing the corner a bit too wide. Yeah. But eventually, because you held up everyone else, I got out in front.
So you took the lead on the normal one. Just like complete opposite from the semi-finals. So you took the lead on the normal, which you should have had in the semi, but I got, and then it was the opposite in the final. So we split, and I did Joker on the first lap instead, like you did in the semi, and in the end, we were both on the podium.
Yeah, you won that race. That was nice. But
if you hadn't messed around with Ole Christian for so long, we would have been 1 and 2 maybe.
Oh, but what a good battle that was. What a good it was worth it. It was worth losing a win for that battle. But no, that's like what you felt and what you and I felt there maybe in Jeddah. Of course, then we are racing for different teams, so we have some obligation, to our team. Me and Kevin never had a proper battle in Extreme E, luckily, touch wood. It would be nice to avoid it. But the way you feel there when you want someone to do well, I think that feeling is enough to do that great teammate job. Now, of course, we can't do it in E1, you and me, Catie, because we need to try and win for our team. But that's like the feeling you have to go in with. And if in Formula One, where you have the battle, like I want to beat my teammate to show I'm the faster driver in the same car, I don't think you can ever achieve like these team strategies and like not these genuine ones.
Yeah, because it's always that, and you hear it so much in the team orders how frustrated the drivers are on the radio. Have you had parents? Because I know that they do the spotting for you. Have they ever said to you, swap places or wait a bit or delay the pack behind so that you could he can come out in front after the Joker?
Yeah. Last race we did.
Yeah, last race we did in the final in Turkey, I had to let go because I would have finished second in the championship. And Timmy, you stopped in the semi or the day before or something to give me more points?
I slowed down in the semi to let you pass because it was very close between you and OC for the second place. And then, so I let you go. Yeah, and then in the final, we were running, was it third and fourth?
Yeah.
And that just and then you were already secured with your position. So then you gave the position back.
Yeah.
That was the spotters telling us.
Yeah, but it's not very often that we have to do that.
No, it's the only time, actually.
Yeah. So thank God for that. Well, I think we can speak a lot. We can speak all day together. But there is a classic when we have guests. We do have a special little feature in the end. And Catie, you do multiple series. You have to choose which series you want to do this on. But it's our fantasy team where you choose a driver or two drivers, a team principal, and a spotter. So I guess you can choose between E1 or Extreme E, whichever you would like to propose a fantasy team.
I'll do Extreme E because I feel like that includes you more, Kevin.
Well, you can't choose us. You have to choose some other people. Otherwise, it's a bias. Otherwise, you would be nice and choose us too.
Okay, so how many? Is it just me and another male driver then in Extreme E?
Yeah, let's do that way.
Yeah.
Should we? Or should we choose another female driver?
None of us. So you have to do different from it can't be you, can't be me, can't be Timmy.
Oh,
so another group of people.
Okay. Right.
No one else is as good as you.
Oh, this is difficult. It's got to be someone that's fast, but also someone that you get along with, because this teammate dynamic in Extreme is very different to other sports. Normally a teammate in any other form of motorsport, you wouldn't really share as much data as we share because our result affects each other. So this is tough because it's also got to be somebody that you think would work well.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Rogue One just really popped into my head because I think he's a really fun guy. Fraser McConnell.
I have been teammates with him for one race in Las Vegas. He was fantastic to work with.
Yeah. I feel like I need someone light-hearted and that is fast, but also is like light-hearted and not, not serious is the wrong word because obviously we're all serious when we race, but not too intense, I think. So someone like that. Yeah. Oh, God, that's weird though. I would be with the Hansens always. Team Prince, well, actually spotter I already know is Eric.
Eric Farron.
Yeah, Eric Farron. Incredible spotter. It's like the times when I came and did some rallycross with you guys and your team last year, a few times I got to have him on my radio, and it was just because he's a driver himself, isn't he? And it is just like having like a co-driver in the car. He knows exactly what's happening, and like the picture that he paints in your head of the race, you feel like you could drive it with your eyes shut. So I think he's such a good talent, and I loved. He was team manager for the Yellow Squad when I was racing with you guys, so he'd definitely be spotter. Maybe he'd be team principal as well, actually, because I also think he's really calm energy. He's maybe, or actually no, Kenneth Hansen. Can I check him?
Oh, Kenneth goes to out of two.
Is he allowed?
No, it's like grey area.
Grey area?
Yeah, no, if you want.
Yeah.
Actually, no.
That's a good lineup.
Very good.
I think there's like yeah, team principal is a difficult one because I have not really Roger. I'd love to work with Roger again. Roger Griffiths from Andretti. I've not really worked with many. As Timmy says, we've always sort of stayed in the same team. So one a combination.
And if you had to choose a different girl to race as well, if you had to like partner Fraser up with someone else than yourself, who would you think that would be out of all the girls in motorsport?
Another girl racing together. We're working together on my race against them.
It's like you own the race team, and then you employ 2 drivers and team principal and spotter. Who would who would the other girl be?
Oh, I just assumed I was racing. I assumed I got the job.
You would do like me and Timmy. We race for our own team.
Or probably Laia Sands, I would say. She's a very cool girl. Actually, her and Fraser were teammates as well.
I was just gonna say.
That's done the job of science. That's exactly the team that he put together.
And they were doing a great job. So I guess it was a good. It's a good team to put together.
Be running teams. This is my calling in life now.
Yeah. Nice. And
no, I like that.
Finally, like to wrap up the call, what do you hope will happen next, like during this year and maybe next year? Like where would you want to see yourself in the coming years?
Behind the wheel more, I think, is like the goal of all of us, right? In off-road. I think it's a bit of a funny time right now across all the championships. There's like a pause while championships are being reset and new calendars are coming out. You look at Nitro and all of these championships are having a bit of a shift. So I would love to be behind the wheel of any of them that would have me, if any of you are listening.
Hello.
Definitely more stuff in the desert as well. Had so much fun doing some of the off-road stuff that we've kind of been introduced to through Extreme and then some of the Baja rallies that I've done. So some more desert adventures, more camels, more changing belts in the middle of the desert. And yeah, I'm really, really excited for Extreme H to launch. Hopefully towards the end of this year we'll have some racing there, so I'm sure everything will come together quite quickly with that championship. But I think we all really miss the competitive side of Extreme E. I think it really got to a point where it was like really solid championship, and the level of competition was something that we all really felt we had to challenge ourselves and push ourselves and prepare for. So I'd love to see more of that coming, and I'm sure it will after everybody's had a bit of a break.
Yeah, I agree.
Nice. We could talk all day. Like it's been already a longer than usual episode. It was super nice to have you as a guest here, Catie.
Oh,
nice. Speak soon.
I hope so. I'll be back on when I've got more interesting stories to tell about you guys. I'll have a think.
Yeah, write some down, and then it will be an even longer episode.
As always, we will be back next week with some more exciting feature on the Hansen Brother podcast. If you like this episode, everyone likes Catie, so you have to give a like to this and share your love in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for next week's episode.
Yeah. See you next Thursday.